Hello friend, oi amigo, oi amiga. Welcome to this lesson of Welsh Inglês Técnico. This is the lesson Exponenciation or Exponenciação. In this lesson we'll review this important operation which gives us many shortcuts for multiplication. Este é o vídeo da lição onde eu apresento a matéria só em inglês. No outro vídeo da lição, eu apresento essa mesma matéria em inglês, mas com explicações, pronúncias e dicas em português. Now, in this lesson, we'll look at 3 topics. First, what is exponentiation? Second, how to read exponents. And third, we'll look at some useful rules or identities in exponentiation. So, what is exponentiation? Well, exponents give us a handy shortcut when a number is multiplied by itself. So, instead of writing the number many times, we simply write it once and note how many times it is being multiplied. So, 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, 5 times, we write 2 with a little 5. The 2 is called the base, the 5 is called the exponent. That is a shortcut for multiplication, for writing out the multiplication. Now, when we write 2 with a little 5, that little 5 is written above the 2, and we call that a superscript. Super meaning above, superscript. And we usually don't use 2 and 5. More generally, we use the letter B to represent the base and N to represent the exponent. So you see the notation B with the N written as superscript, and that represents the operation of exponentiation. Exponentiation. When we see B with the N written as superscript, we can read it in English as B to the N. B to the N. So if it were 2 and 5, we could read it as 2 to the 5. 2 to the 5. Now, if the sign of N is negative, B to the minus N means 1 over B to the N. 1 divided by B to the N. So, for example, 2 to the minus 5 means 1 over 1 divided by 2 to the 5. B to the minus 1 means 1 over B to the 1. B to the 1, of course, is simply B. So we have already learned 2 ways of reading this notation, B with the superscript N. Let's learn a few more ways. So when we see B and N, we can say the exponent of B is N. The exponent of B is N. Or B raised to the nth power. B raised to the nth power. Or B to the nth power. B to the nth power. Or B to the nth. B to the nth. B to the n. B to the n. Or simply Bn. Bn. Now, in this next section, we will look at what we call exponential identities, some identities about exponents. Some people call them rules or laws. We will call them identities because that gives us the idea that we have one thing equal another. They are identical. So our first identity, a to the 0 equals 1. A to the 0 equals 1. A is a variable. It represents any real number, and it says that any number raised to 0 equals 1. So in our example then, 12 to the 0 equals 1. 12 raised to the power 0 equals 1. Another useful identity, a to the 1 equals a. A to the 1 equals a. In our example, if a is 19, 19 to the 1 equals 19. 19 raised to the power 1 is just 19. Another identity, 1 to the n equals 1. 1 to the n equals 1. In our example here, if n is 6, 1 to the 6 equals 1. So this one says a to the m times b to the m equals a times b to the m. We can say 3 to the 2 times 4 to the 2 equals 3 times 4 to the 2. This identity says a to the m over b to the m equals a over b to the m. Now, using some numbers as examples, we can say 2 to the 3 over 4 to the 3 equals 2 over 4 to the 3. Again, 2 to the 3 over 4 to the 3 equals 2 over 4 to the 3. So this one says a to the minus m equals 1 over a to the m. Again, a to the minus m equals 1 over a to the m. You see the reciprocal of a to the m is 1 over a to the m. Remember? Using numbers, 5 to the minus 4 equals 1 over 5 to the 4. 5 to the minus 4 equals 1 over 5 to the 4. This identity says a to the m times a to the n equals a to the m plus n. An example of this identity using numbers would be 2 to the 3 times 2 to the 7 equals 2 to the 3 plus 7. A to the m over a to the n equals a to the m minus n. If we're using numbers as an example, if we have 4 to the 5 and 4 to the 3, 4 to the 5 over 4 to the 3 equals 4 to the 5 minus 3. So if we have the number a and we want to raise it to m, and then we want to raise that to n, we say a to the m to the n equals a to the m times n. Now let's look at this with an example with numbers. If A is 5, M is 2, and N is 4. 5 to the 2 to the 4 equals 5 to the 2 times 4. Again, 5 to the 2 to the 4 equals 5 to the 2 times 4.
Of course, we use the exponents 2 and 3 so often that they have special names. In this lesson, every time we see the exponent 2, I have simply used the name of the number 2. So here we have 5 to the 2. But as you already imagine, we quite often use the word squared when the exponent is 2. So we could also read this as 5 squared. And when the exponent is 3, we can say 4 to the 3, as we have so far in this lesson. Or we can use the word cubed. We could read this as 4 cubed. We talk about this some more in the lesson on the degree of an expression.
Now we've arrived at the end of this lesson on exponentiation, exponenciação, and let's quickly review what we learned. We studied 3 topics. First, we asked ourselves, what is exponentiation? And we talked a little bit about the definition, what it means. Next, we looked at a number of ways of reading the notation. When we see B with the superscript N, how do we read that in English? And then finally, we looked at many identities that are useful in exponentiation. And we saw that some people call these identities rules or laws. As always, the idea here is that you listen now to this lesson in Portuguese. There we will go over the pronunciation, explanations, and some tips. It's been great spending this time with you. I always enjoy it, and I hope that you are finding it helpful. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.